Okay. Oh, now the subtopic is encapsulation. Encapsulation. What is it actually? See, sometimes we need to restrict an access to your class methods or the variables what we have defined. Okay. So what we try to do is actually using the OOPS concept. Okay. We try to, whenever we try to restrict the access, okay, access to class methods and the variables what is defined. Not only class method, even the variables. When we try to do this actually, what exactly, what is the advantage of it? When we try to do this class methods or variables, when we try to restrict the access, this will prevent the modification. So this will prevent any modification, prevent any modification of data. So many modification of the data. And this is called as encapsulation. Okay. So let me define it. Whenever we try to restrict or put an obstruction to the access to access the class methods and its variables. Okay. And doing such things actually, we try to restrict any modification or any changes we try to do on class methods or variables is called as encapsulation. Okay. Now, why we do it actually? What is the purpose of it? That means we are moving from a public domain to a private domain. What's it? I'll give an example. Most of us, I think, we may be having access to our YouTube videos actually. So YouTube videos, you just go log in and you just check that. When you type something, search for it actually. So if I have access to, if anybody has an access to your YouTube videos, that is means I am trying to have a public domain access to it. So sometimes I may invite certain persons. So that I want to keep it private. I'll send that particular link to only the people who can view it, not to all. And that is called as private. So moving from a public domain to private domain is called as encapsulation. Okay, this is what we try to do it actually. Now, when we try to do this particular thing, when we try to do this actually, what is the advantage of it actually? The advantage of it actually, we will have a better control. Okay, something like converting your public attributes or public, to be very precise, converting your public attributes to private attributes. Okay, public attributes to private attributes. Okay, this usually we try to do using some kind of a, how this is done actually, this is done using prefixing. Okay, prefixing with a single underscore. Okay, single underscore, or multiple means it is only double. So I'm going to use a double underscore. Either I can use a single underscore, multiple underscore. I told that when I'm going to do this actually, maybe I was using it actually when I was trying to write a code actually. So I'm going to use this either single underscore or a double underscore. So prefixing, I'm using this underscore will make the public to private. How it is done? Let's look at one example. Okay, let's look into some example. Say for example, I'm trying to create some kind of a class. So let's if I try to create a class, let me call it as our computer. So let it be on some price or whatever it may be. So I'm going to define a function. So the moment if I try to underscore init, okay. So if the moment I do it actually, I am trying to make it private. Okay, let me call it as some cost. Okay, now cost dot underscore its price. Okay, so let me call it as some 15,000, whatever it may be. Just I'm giving an example, some 15,000, or you won't get it, 15,000 or 40,000, whatever it may be. Okay, now whatever I'm trying to do this particular thing, I'm making it a private by just putting an underscore while in the mail defining it actually. Suppose the same thing, if I do it without any underscore, say for example, if I try to do sell it actually, let me define one more, okay, selling of your cost or whatever it may be, I'm defining it. Okay, now this is purely private, this is, it's a public attributes, looking at the attributes. Say under this I can print it actually, say I want to print it, okay, print it. Now look at this, I'm trying to bring in one inside the other. Say let me call it as some selling price of, okay, it's a selling price of your whatever I'm trying to put, okay. So I'm going to use a format. Now here I'm going to put actually cost dot. So here I have two options. So simply I can put max price. Okay. What is actually, if I simply put simply max price, I am in the public domain or public attribute. So now instead of this particular thing, the same thing, whatever you have, no, this, no, this thing, if I try to put a dot format cost dot underscore max price. So what I'm trying to make actually, the moment I use underscore, this becomes private. That's how I'm trying to make it actually. That's how I'm making the public attribute to private attribute, and whatever the method I'm trying to use, that is called your encapsulation. Okay, the underscore, single underscore or double underscore. So there is nothing a double underscore or single underscore. If I try to use it actually, I am trying to execute an encapsulation method where I am trying to convert a given class method or given object. Class method is an object from a public attribute to a private attribute. We look into the examples. Maybe tomorrow class we'll try to look into examples. So right now try to understand what you are trying to do. So now maybe what I told actually in the example, what I told, I have a program. I am trying to define the class by the name computer, and I have used a simple function. So this is a function. This is a function. In this, I'm using this underscore init, a function. Okay, init, a function, it's a method. See, what is this actually? This is a method. This is a class method or an object. To store, what I'm trying to use actually, to store its price or store its selling price or to store its cost price of that particular computer. Okay, now see, when I try to do this underscore, I can't modify it. See, suppose cost dot underscore price. See, we try to see if we are, if you, by doing that particular thing, I'm unable to change its price. We can't change the price because underscore price as private attribute. So this particular thing is shown as private attribute. The underscore price is equal to 15,000, whatever it is. If I have not used this particular underscore, this would have been a public attribute. Just by using that underscore price, it has become a private attribute. That's what I have done. And this is called as encapsulation. It is clear? Okay, this is about your encapsulation. We'll look into the examples in the next class, the tomorrow's class. Now we have the last topic actually, that is called as polymorphism. Okay, as I told, polymorphism means checking for shapes or whatever it may be. Polymorphism. Okay, so what is it actually? See, you have n different data. You have multiple data, that is different data types. See, you can call it as multiple data types. So multiple data types, or I think some books they call it as instead of data types they call it as forms actually. Now, whenever you have this multiple data types, I want to use a common interface. A common interface using using a common interface. That is how I'm going to use how I'm going to use a common interface for all the multiple data forms or multiple forms. That is called as polymorphism. Okay. Now, as I told, say for example, let me have different shapes. Let me take one circle. Okay, I have a circle. I have a triangle. I have a triangle, fine, like this. I have a triangle. Then let me have a square. Okay, so let me have a square. Then let me have one hexagon. Okay, let me have an hexagon. Now look at this. See, all are of different shapes. See, multiple. See, this is a circle. This is a triangle. This is a square. This is an hexagon. If you want, I can put pentagon, I can put a rectangle, or all the shapes I can put it. See, all are of different shape options or different of data types. See, these things are different data types. Okay, let me copy it. One more thing I'm going to. So all are of different data types. So all are of different data types, that we know. Now, I want to color the shape. All the data types I want to have a single color. Say for example, this one I want to put an yellow. Fine. So what I will do, I'll try to do the yellow color for this circle, yellow for the rectangle, sorry, triangle, and yellow for my square. All are of the same color. A common interface. The interface is the same color. So then yellow color for you and for your hexagon. Now I can change the color. Say for example, I can go and take up the pink. Okay. Say for example, I can have the same violet color or whatever it may be color for the circle, and even for the triangle, even for the square, and even for your hexagon. So what I need to do, I am trying to have a single color for multiple data types or multiple forms. So what I am trying to use, I am trying to use a single method, or that is called as a common method, to color all the objects. To color all the objects. Color circle with yellow, color circle with violet, color circle with pink or whatever it may be. So that is my common, what I am trying to use. I am trying to use a common kind of a class method or an object method I am trying to use for any shape. Okay, when I try to use this actually, and that is called as polymorphism. And this concept I am telling, the concept is called as polymorphism. Okay, now say for example, if I try to give an example for it. So let me try to give an example. So whatever I showed, that only how we can show example. So let me define a class. So let me define a class as your maybe geometry. We can put it as geometry as a class. Fine. Now under this geometry, say let me put for a shape. Okay, let me put for a particular shape. So geometry, instead of geometry, let me put it as a circle. Okay, let me put as circle. So inside that I have one more this thing, class square. Okay, then I can have class rectangle. Okay, then I can have one more thing, class hexagon. Let me put it as hexagon. So I have all the 4 different multiple classes. Okay, now what I need to do, I need to look at this coloring or shaping, whatever it may be, the size or whatever it may be. See, circle can be colored with what actually? Circle can be colored with same color, or square can be colored with same color. Okay, that is called a common interface. How I can define it actually? Say if I define diff actually, so what I can do, say a definition of your let me put as size, let me go with size. Okay, size as one particular thing. I'm just giving an example. Size, it's maybe in centimeters or whatever it may be, whatever. Some I'm trying to give this example, so I can use whatever the statement you want. So here also I can define with respect to size. Okay, then one more this thing based on color. Okay, color I can give color with respect to what? Color with respect to maybe with respect to a geometry or whatever it may be. Okay, color or whatever it may be with respect to some geometry. Now, let me call that as geometry or whatever it may be. Let me call it as geo. Okay, color with respect to geometry, I am trying to call. So this also I am calling that as a geometry. Instead of centimeters, I am trying to call this as geo. Same thing here also I'll try to put it as geo, that is geometry. So something I'll come and definition color with respect to geometry. Here also same thing. See whatever I have now, the same thing I'll put it here also. Even for your rectangle, even for your hexagon. I'm going to use the. So I have how many classes are there right now? If you look at it, I have a circle class, that's then a square, a rectangle, and an hexagon. Now, what is the interface? I can use a common interface. What is it actually? Let me write a common interface. What is it? Let me call it as common interface. What is the common interface? Let me go with the coloring, size. 3 sides or 2 sides, whatever it may be. Or I can maybe all the triangles of that particular thing on one side. Okay, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go and look into what type of thing I'm looking at. I can have a common interface, that is definition of that particular function. Okay, let me put it as its color code or whatever it may be. Let me call it as color code of what? It may be a particular geometrical figure. Okay, it may be what we call it, let me call that as a shape. Let me call it as a shape. Okay, now what I'll use actually, shape dot. Okay, shape dot, I'm going to look at the size first. Shape dot size on one side. Okay, then I can have one more definition, that's a function that is based on, so this is one color code, maybe I can look at the number of sides. So let me call it as num underscore sides. So let me call that as shape. So here also shape dot, I can go with geometry. Just I'm giving an example, that is. So what is this actually? I'm trying to check for, see, I will take a particular shape, so I can give a particular say 3 or I can go with respect, see, I want to give everything a same color, irrespective of whatever it may be the size, whether say a circle, square, or hexagon, or a rectangle, or whatever it may be, maybe all the triangles I want to group on one side, I can do that. And this is called as commonality, or whatever we see. What is it actually? We try to do this. Polymorphism is used to create a common interface such that any object which is existing, it will call for that object. Then it passes on, whether it is based on size, whether it is based on any function. It may be with respect to color or it may be with respect to size, so that I can access it and do the whatever the operation I want to do, and that is called as polymorphism. Is that clear? So this is nothing but your polymorphism. Did you understand what I mean by polymorphism, or your what we